Like, what's your where are you? Because there's some people that are like, oh, I like it, but I'm not a fan. Wait, we are recording. My bad. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Horror Bin. I'm your host, Julian Fernandez. With me today, adding to the bin, a good buddy of mine, very funny comedian, podcaster. You can check him out everywhere. It's Zack Chapaloni.
What's up?
Dude, thank you so much for being here.
Dude.
Got an interesting pick. I had told you I'd not seen this movie since until last night. But we're doing Barbarian. Before we get into it, what's your experience with horror?
It's like I loved being scared as a kid. Like scary movies were fun. But then I also like when it's all gory and unsettling and like bugs crawling out of a thing. I really like to eat when I'm watching a movie at home.
Okay.
And it's just an appetite killer for me.
Really?
Like I can't like if a head's being bludgeoned or brains are pouring out. But I enjoy a good horror movie. It's like one of those it's like a food menu item that if it's on the table, you love it.
Right.
But when you pull up to a restaurant, you're never like, ooh, I'm having that. That's horror for me. Like I'm not actively seeking it out, but if it's the dish of the day and it's being served.
One of those special occasions.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to treat yourself.
I can be influenced. I'm very impressionable. So if you're pushing a horror movie and it's your movie night at your place, I'm like, all right, let's horror it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you would say you say like even as a kid you just enjoyed it. You enjoyed being scared and everything.
Yeah, like especially like sleepovers.
Yeah.
It's like the perfect movie for a sleepover.
Gremlins 2, the new batch.
Yes.
I remember watching that and what I was told before the sleepover was a house where a guy killed himself. So that was so it was a great start.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I grew up in Catholic school a lot, so like the Omen was like, because it was like you'd go look at a Bible and you're like, it's in there.
Yeah.
Like God is trying to warn us about this kid. And that used to scare the fuck out of me.
Would you say it was like more like any kind of like religious upbringing that kind of kept you from like maybe diving more into horror, or was it?
If anything, it was like I used to go to church every Sunday with my dad and stuff. My mom was, Muslim, but so she was lucky she didn't have to go. But we had to go to church, and I felt like when I believed in that stuff, I believed in horror.
Okay.
And then when I kind of got old enough to
believed evil was in the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or like God was like really watching you, and but then when I kind of fell out of belief, I feel like I fell out of belief in horror. So it was like this is just
if one thing's not real, then these monsters and ghouls can't be real
exactly.
either. Okay.
Like, I'm not afraid of a gremlin either.
No, same. I want to be friends with gremlins now. Gremlins and Chucky.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, you guys scared me as kids. But
yes, exactly.
I'll hang around with you guys.
Yeah, you're like, this guy's got a wit on him, man.
Yeah.
He knows how to joke.
The one creature I don't think we would spend time with is the one we're talking about today from Barbarian.
Yeah.
Before we get into it, let's go ahead and check out the trailer.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
This is 476 Barbary, right?
Yeah, I'm renting this place.
No, I booked it a month ago.
Are you sure you have the right place?
I do remember
What am I
seeing
supposed to do?
this trailer
Why don't you come inside?
and not assuming that it's a
call these
horror
idiots.
movie just from this.
Oh,
With the music.
yeah.
Why don't you just crash here?
Oh, no.
What an interesting choice of a song.
I don't know if you got a great look at this neighborhood, but I don't think you should be out there by yourself.
And the most ominous neighborhood
It's dry and
this
there's a
house
lock
could
on the
be
door.
in.
By
Dude,
the way, I'm Keith.
Tess.
I think it's supposed to
You
be
take
like
the
Detroit.
bedroom, and I'll
which is
sleep
such a-
out here
Yeah.
on the couch.
It's supposed to be Detroit, but they filmed it in, I think, Netherlands.
Oh, that's right.
So they only filmed like a little bit of it in Detroit.
Imagine being like, I grew up in this neighborhood. That's my hometown.
It's my hometown.
Yep.
Keith?
Oh. Did it say from a producer of it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And an executive.
That's so funny. Those are great titles to be attached to.
This process might seem overwhelming, but with a little practice, it can soon become a pleasurable experience. This is perfectly natural.
Dude.
Hell yeah.
I
dude.
mean, it's like so many, like any movie where a monster was under your bed,
yeah.
you're afraid of looking under your bed. It like it attacks those places that we all see in life that we're fearful of. And that basement shot, you ever go down under a house and you're like, fuck no, I'm never going back here.
First off, never been under a house.
Really?
I would yeah. I've never been to an attic. The sleepover was in an attic.
Oh, fuck.
I will never go back to an attic or a basement.
Yeah.
Naturally, those are the terrifying places.
Dude. And then finding a door in that, I'm like, nope.
And let alone your own house, but at a stranger's house.
Yes.
I'm not venturing through any doors that are creaking and swinging open.
No. Dust, cobwebs, I'm out. Nothing lives here but evil.
Oh, 100%. And this trailer, it gives off, it's definitely, the trailer gives the experience you're gonna get watching the movie, because at the beginning it feels like one movie, then it suddenly has a shift where it feels like you're watching a different movie.
Yes.
Then as a third shift where you feel like you're watching a third movie.
Yeah.
So it definitely doesn't give you what to really expect.
Yeah.
Because I remember watching this thing, and Bill Skarsgård's going to be all over this movie.
Yes.
Oh, he's definitely going to be the villain, or he's going to be a monster, just coming off of being in it as Pennywise, killing it. Dude's first third of the movie, and then out.
And then you're like, what does this have to do with what we just saw?
Yeah.
You're like watching that second portion, you're like, what?
It's such a shift change.
It's like some weird artsy movie where we're just watching 3 mini movies in one, and then when they tie them together, you're like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, the hard just cut to black after if you're not familiar, we do spoil shit, so don't get mad at me.
I was gonna ask,
but that was more for the audience. But
yeah.
Spoil away. But yeah, like after Skarsgård's killed, which personally I think best death in the movie.
Yeah.
I knew something was probably going to happen to him. Did not expect it to be full-on naked lady monsters coming out and smashing his head.
A monster, yeah, like a monster.
And then just a hard smash to black, and then suddenly we're in California and we're with Justin Long.
Yeah,
he's driving along the California coast,
and he's just such a shitty person of an actor.
Oh my god. If you see Justin Long in any horror movie, you know he's not going to last.
Yeah. And you're not going to love him.
You're not going to love him, and he's not going to last.
Yeah.
Probably a nice guy in person.
Yeah,
Probably a great person.
I bet.
Plays an asshole and a piece of shit real well in movies.
Yes. I saw an interesting thing the other day. I don't know if it was just, our phones hearing us talk about Barbarian, but the screenwriter for this was talking about. Did you see this clip?
Oh, maybe not. Hold on.
The screenwriter was talking about writing the movie, and he's like, up until this point in my original script, as I'm writing, my mind is like, she goes down into those stairs, deep into the hallway, and Skarsgård's the killer. And he's like, this is hacky. This is predictable. And so he's like, I changed that, and I'm like, immediately I love this story so much more.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, 100%. Like, you're watching that trailer going, even though you see him asking for help, you're like, man, he's the killer.
Something's up. Something's going on.
I still think he's killing her.
Yeah. I mean,
just from that suspense.
It's the putting like what you think is what to expect in terms of that villain, setting him up, him having that, he has a very creepy, handsome vibe about him.
Yeah.
He's not more one side or the other. He's just like kind of right in the middle of just like, you're handsome, but there's something off about you.
Yeah. And he doesn't quite, explain. It just feels like they perfectly leave you in suspense, that whole first portion. And then when what's his name, Justin Long,
Yeah.
when he's in the house, that fear of like, dude, they are on the other side of this door. Whatever it is right down here.
So that kind of brings into a cool thing. So yeah, the writer director is Zach Krieger, who's from one of the founding members of Whitest Kids You Know.
No way.
Yeah. But yeah, one of the founding members. He wrote and directed this movie, and it was apparently based off of, I have it written down, based off a book called The Gift of Fear, which is encourages women to trust their intuition when confronting obviously dangerous men. And the more I kind of looked at it, it kind of made sense because you have the three men that are in the movie are kind of different levels of sexism.
Yeah.
So you have Skarsgård, who's this high horse, chivalrous person. Like,
Yeah.
oh, no, I insist. Let me go get your bags. You take the room.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure you're in the room when I open the wine bottle, all this and that. He's not a bad thing.
No.
Not a bad thing by any means. Bit much, but I get it. And she's taking the precautions. I'm taking a photo of his license.
Yeah.
Making sure he says who he is.
Yeah. But it's
Locking
also
the doors behind her.
if you're that if you're that cautious of being perceived as that, that's also suspicious.
Yes.
You know?
Well, yeah, 100%. And then you got the advert. You have the middle ground with Justin Long, who's this person who believes he's a good person, believes he's a good guy, but in actuality is for sure like a broy date rapist.
Yes.
And
Not
then-
chivalrous at all.
And then when we eventually meet Frank in the basement,
yeah. Pure
just
evil.
a straight up monster.
Yeah.
Just a horrible monster. And it's just like these different degrees of like, there are obvious signs, and there's signs where you see like the shift in terms of like how she's behaving, being in this house and being confronted with like, oh, there's something creepy in the basement. There's a secret door that has a secret door.
Yeah.
That has a secret
Yeah.
tunnel. and all
Right.
this.
And clearly
she's-
what looks like a rape dungeon.
Yes, 100%.
Scariest
You
looking
see a
room
camera
you could see.
and a dirty ass mattress in
Oh,
any room, you
instantly.
get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, instantly terrible things happen there.
And like the fact that she is just like, Skarsgård comes back after he's able to get her out of the basement, and she's just like, we gotta go. And he's like, no, well, I'm not gonna leave just because you say there's a bucket and a bed and a camera in a room.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, that's all the proof I
Right,
need. Like, yeah,
bro.
let's burn this place as we leave.
Yes. 911 on the phone as you're running up the stairs.
But as we also find out later, 911 not a big help either.
No.
These guys blow her off immediately, just
Yeah.
like, oh, hysterical lady over
Yeah.
here trying to rile us up.
Yeah, the most frustrating part of every horror movie is like, you gotta help. And they're
Yeah.
like, I don't know. What'd you really see?
Do we though?
Yeah.
Do we need to help? What does it say on my badge? To serve and protect. I don't think so.
I don't see help.
But for those that don't know, like I said, we are talking about Barbarian, released in 2022, fairly recent, very new. But I remember making big, not assumptions. That's the wrong word. Making big impressions.
Yes.
In terms of like how good it was and everything. It's always been on my queue list in terms of like, I got to get to this eventually.
Oh, cool.
And I'm so happy that you said this one,
Oh,
because
me
you had
too.
this one, and what was the other one?
I said The Omen, but that was more
The
like
Omen
a
was-
child nostalgia one.
Oh, we'll get to that, I'm sure.
Okay, cool.
But like I said, directed by Zach Krieger, starring Georgina Campbell, Bill Skarsgård, Justin Long, and Matthew Patrick Davis as the mother, which is the creature in the movie.
Whoa.
He's a musician. He's more of a singer, but decided to do this as the creature and everything. And very interesting. Like,
Must be the shape and look of this person. Did
yeah,
you get
he
a
has
look at
that
him?
tall, lanky.
Imagine
just-
someone be like, "Hey, man, I feel like we had a great time tonight. Would you want to be the creature in my movie? Just from your vibe, I'd love for you to play
Just,
the creature."
what do I do? I just rip Justin Long in half, and you breastfeed him a little bit here and there. And
You haven't seen light or
nothing crazy.
experienced any sort of real human connection. It's like, yeah, I guess.
In terms of the plot, it's a woman staying in an Airbnb discovers that the house she has rented is not what it seems, and 100% true.
Airbnb horror stories too.
Have you ever had a bad experience with an Airbnb?
I have. I recently stayed at one where, I didn't feel creeped out,
Mm-hmm.
but it just felt shitty.
Yeah.
Like I even posted because the bathroom in the apartment it had walls, but it had no ceiling. So you're shitting into the bedroom.
It had no walls and no ceiling.
It had walls, but the ceiling was like short, and around you was the bedroom. So like, it's basically just a cordoned off, like, you know, those things people would change behind. It was that, but basically like drywall. But there's nothing on top of the bathroom.
Oh,
and the ceiling of the bedroom is really high.
Kind of like cubicle walls almost.
Cubicle walls. Well said. Yes.
Okay.
And so I'm like shitting in there, and I'm filming it like, is this not disgusting?
Anything for content.
Yeah, I guess I should say I was fake shitting in there. I'm like, look, it's real shit
I'm
coming
ripping
out.
hard and just
Like, why am I shadow banned? It's about an
Who
Airbnb. So, like, we moved out of that one pretty quick and just switched it up last second.
Yeah.
I didn't even write a bad review. I was just, I don't want to be judgmental.
yeah. I've had like just where it's just a shitty, like not as good as it could have been.
Yeah.
But price wise, it couldn't beat it.
Yeah, totally. You get what you pay for.
And of
for
course,
sure.
in Arizona.
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
Yeah. 93% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, let's
well
go.
deserved. Some reviews that I was able to find: a gleefully scary and inventive tale that's full of disarming twists and hashtag Me Too undertones.
Oh yeah.
Wildly unpredictable. Barbarian begins as a tale of awkward circumstance before mutating into something intensely claustrophobic, satirically amusing, and in its best moments, both.
Yeah.
I fully agree.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah. I couldn't find anything that was like
Shitting on it.
barely any. Most of it was just kind of like little one sentence blurbs. But even then, it's kind of like, say more. If you're gonna disagree with all this movie that everyone else is being like, this is fucking dope.
Yeah.
Like, give me more.
I
tear
agree.
it apart if you're gonna give it a bad review.
Well, that's why I want to talk shit about Steve Fury, my friend comedian. He said it sucked.
Yeah.
And he had no reason.
What does Steve know?
If you ever run into Steve, be like, what the fuck's your problem with Barbarian? Make him explain himself.
Yeah.
Because it really delivered on all those.
I will say the one big issue I had was I was talking to another comedian about this, that the timeline doesn't really match up in terms of, so the monster is a product of incest.
Yes.
Apparently.
Generations.
Generational incest. And when we learn later that that she's been in there supposedly for about 40 years.
Yeah.
Which timeline wise, like I'm a little, it kind of throws me off a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of just figuring like, all right, well, this is supposed to be this dude raping women and then having babies with them.
Yeah.
And then he says he's having babies with the babies.
Yeah.
And it's just a continuous thing. I don't know if timeline wise it matches up that this monster has been in there for 40 years.
Well,
this guy had to have started like early on raping.
I think that one's his granddaughter wife.
Oh,
That's what I had thought. I know, man. Horror. We're in the world of
Granddaughter
horror.
wife. No.
Yeah, dude. That's where granddaughter wives live, in horror.
Ugh.
Yeah, I think, what is kind of funny is like you would think with incest for that many generations, it would be a weaker baby.
Yeah.
This
but
is
no,
like a
this thing is-
WNBA. It's Wembenyama.
She's been signed.
Scouts are looking at her.
If a fall from a water tower doesn't finish her off, there's no way you can contain her.
You're gonna see a mock draft where they're like, I'll tell you who I like. Out of rural Detroit, this girl, she's had a rough life. She's focused on the game.
Her fundamentals are out of this world, though. She get fouled a lot, 100%, but she is slamming that ball in there.
And she'll play for a team. She really buys into a system as long as she gets to call you mama or whatever. What does she call them?
Yeah, mama or
Yeah.
Ugh,
I
oh
would
my
make that
God.
sound to my wife after we watched it, and she would want to kill me.
Oh,
that's a terrifying noise.
I feel bad that your wife had to deal with
I
that.
can't believe she still
Ugh.
loves me after that.
Yeah, and then what's her first warning sign, especially, is like I try my best to do as much research if I'm going to a place where I've never been before.
Yeah.
In terms of like the area of whether it's a hotel or Airbnb, I want to make sure. Like, I don't
Reviews.
want to. I've never been to Chicago. I know not to like try to book something on the south side of Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm gonna like do my research and everything. But then you have stuff you know, granted, she showed up at night to a very ominous neighborhood, but then this is her the next day. And just immediately. Just the most rundown neighborhood.
Yep.
Which is
Wow,
just
her headlights
wild.
didn't pick up any of that on the way in.
Her what?
Headlights didn't pick up any of that on the
Right?
way in.
It seemed like the neighborhood was in perpetual darkness
Yeah,
when she
yeah.
showed up, because they're not a street light anywhere to be seen.
Yeah.
In this whole movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, the monster wise, like great creature design. Loved how it looked.
Thanks for agreeing. I feel I almost like you. I've recommended the movie, so now I'm like, thanks. We really worked hard on that.
What was your inspiration?
Yeah, we really wanted stringy hair. My ex's mother had stringy. It's just like the most negative everything.
Oh, just when I think of the hair, because when she's like just kind of reaching down the bottle to like feed them, and then she feeds what's her name? She feeds Tess first.
Yeah.
Who's just like, just drink out the fucking, but just drink the bottle.
Yeah.
She's drinking it and passing it just along, and you just see all those hairs, those stringy hairs just sticking off.
What about like you know, what about the choice to give them all big ass knockers? Kind of an interesting artistic decision.
Hey, I love a stacked woman, you know.
Just the director being like, yeah, you look great. Let's get some huge titties on you. It's such a funny like decision.
Well, you know, he also speaking of the director too. He also makes a small cameo in this. So he's Justin Long's friend.
Not the manager.
Not the manager. He you never see his face. That's the other thing too.
Oh.
But when he's at the house, it's just like after he's talked to his mom or whatever, and he's like being like, just like, oh, shut up, mom, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
being like just douche. Then he answers the phone again. He's like, "What up, faggot?" And it's just
funny.
like, "Oh God."
Yeah. That's so funny.
And then he shows up at the bar, and the guy talking to him be like, "What? So what really happened? Tell me. Like, be on. You can be honest with me. Tell
Yeah.
me what really happened."
Yeah.
Yeah, we fucked. But I mean, it's not like I was like, yeah, I'm a rapist,
Dude.
But his friend talking to him is the director, is Zach Krieger.
That's so. You know what's so funny is like you almost feel like Justin knows this guy, or was at a party with this guy, this character he's playing.
Yes,
You know what I
yes.
mean? Like it's too on the nose. This like guy who's like been phased out of an era where you could do whatever you want to people, and you were an actor and never came back to haunt you. And now he's like, "What the hell? Why am I being singled out?"
That's not my interpretation of events.
Yeah, I'm a good person. I've
Hey,
decided that.
I'm sorry if you felt like I did something wrong.
Yes.
Oh boy,
Yes.
dude, no.
Yeah, I really loved his portrayal of just like the most hateable fucking Hollywood actor.
Yeah, this for Justin Long, you know, it's him being accused of having raped, sexually assaulted somebody from a pilot that he was working on.
Yes. And his career's kind of
starting to fall
over.
apart.
Yeah.
And everything. And then he apparently owns the house where they all live in. As we're told by a homeless gentleman, you own it on paper, but that's her house.
Oh, I
That's
love
her
it.
daddy's house. It's just like, Jesus Christ.
I'm like, how does word travel about this in the community? You know
And
what
it's
I
like
mean?
just this one homeless man in this rundown neighborhood. He's like the guardian of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Him trying to warn Tess is the funniest thing. You see him from a distance just running. Little girl, get out of that fucking house.
Yes.
Get the fuck. How about a please?
Right,
How about a
miss.
excuse me, miss?
This is all going to come at you. It's going to feel like a lot.
Listen, I'm gonna come at you strong here, but I just want you to know it is gonna get real bad for you real quick.
There is a third generation NBA power forward granddaughter wife under that house.
Power forward.
I feel like I'd be able to squeeze all that information out in a more digestible way.
No, that was perfect. A power forward monster. That's how we need to start describing our monsters in horror movies.
Yeah.
Man, this monster, first draft linebacker right there, dude.
Yeah.
Like he is just
I'm saying a floor general, LeBron type of point guard. Big but can really run the show.
I was saying, I think Bill Skarsgård's death is probably one of the best deaths in the movie. This with the homeless man is probably a very close second.
How do you know she can't get in here?
Shit, I've been living in this place more than 15 years, and she ain't never came in this motherfucker.
And then immediately just ripped apart.
Dude, I love that.
The best timing of a kill I've seen in a long time. I kid you not. I rewound it 3 times. How hard I was laughing. I'm just...
Like sometimes you can't really see the scene on a script, like how it's supposed to unfold. I'd read that and be like,
yeah.
Shit.
In terms of survival, if you found yourself in your Airbnb, you find out there's a monster down there. What do you think your chances of survival and getting out of this movie are?
I mean, are we this deep in the process? Because the moment she saw that
you're in the
town-
cage and she's offering you that titty.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely getting my lactose fill, keeping her happy. I feel like I tried to kind of like convince her, like, let's go outside, mom, or whatever. I'd fully lean in. I'd be like,
playing the role
outside, sucking my thumb. I cry, until she maybe takes me out.
Okay,
yeah,
you're playing into it. Man.
Yeah.
Smash my head in, dude. I am not. Ugh.
You're not yes-anding the fucking demon mom?
No, God, no. Listen, there's time for improv and there's time for like
tragedy.
Hey, I gotta bounce. This is a bounce.
Yeah.
I would not survive.
I mean, you're not outrunning that thing.
No, by no means. But minute 1, once you start getting that off vibe, I'm out of there.
Yeah.
I don't care if there's a convention in town or whatever. I'm bunking with whoever.
Yeah.
To like go find like just a neighborhood with at least 2 houses that are functioning.
Yeah, 1 street light would be nice.
1 street light, one cop who cares.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Right. But the thing is, like, we're in the cage and you're thinking what I would do.
Yeah.
Every step of the way. I mean, that's horror movies. Don't go in there.
Yeah. She has the best reaction when she opens that first secret door. Just nope.
Yeah.
And then I guess Zach Krieger had to hit up Jordan Peele to be like, hey, are you guys? I know you guys are having that Nope movie. Are you gonna? He asked like, hey, are you gonna have a note, like a joke? Are you gonna have like a bit in there where they say nope?
Yeah.
Jordan Peele apparently was like, no.
Oh, that's
and then
so
sure enough they
funny.
do.
That's so well. It's cool because they're both comedy background people, which I kind of love. It's like it kind of feels like it's the same part of the brain,
Yeah.
Being able to reflect on that shit.
I don't know what it is. Like, I mean, comedy, I've always believed this with Robin Williams, especially. Like, I think if you're someone who excels at comedy, you can excel at drama very easily. It's something very adaptable for all of us.
Yeah.
We're all dealing with trauma.
Yeah.
And then same thing with horror. Like, you see a lot more comedic, like you said, comedic performers, a lot more comedy-based people that are excelling at either writing, directing, or just starring in horror.
Yeah.
Don't know what the correlation is. Scientists,
It's
get
there.
on the research.
Yeah.
There's something to be studied.
Malcolm Gladwell, give us the breakdown.
We're gonna be starting to wrap this up right now, but before we do, where would you say? So we're adding this to the bin, no matter what. This belongs definitely in there. In terms of where it belongs in the bin. Personally, I'm saying it belongs in the top stack. This is a good go-to pick, easy choice for a horror night kind of thing. Would you say right around?
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Top of the stack. For me, I mean, it was the first one that came to mind when you told me, like, what's a horror movie you got in mind? That was the last time I remember having such a good time watching a horror movie.
Yeah.
It's just like a thrill ride. It's fun.
Yeah. Didn't expect everything that happened.
Yeah.
Was very caught off by a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And yeah, didn't know where the story was going to go. So I was very, very happy with how it came out. I gave it a 9 out of 10 in terms of just a movie rating. I would put it in terms of the scare. I'd put it just like an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Just because scares were there. They weren't abundant.
No.
But they were there.
Yeah. More in the first third.
Yeah.
Okay.
The tension of the beginning was there. And then once it started really amping up, when you start seeing the mother,
Yeah.
then it's kind of like, oh shit. And then it kind of does that ebb and flow of like, all right, now we're going to do a different movie.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then, you got like Justin Long's character, with that fear of them being down there. You're like, this is his comeuppance. Like, get this motherfucker. Get this fucking
Oh,
creep.
100%.
And then that last guy, you're like, it makes sense. I hate him. It's a scary concept, but I'm not scared for what's going to happen next because I feel like I'm already seeing what's happened, in present time. But that Killer Among Us thing, that type of horror fucks me up. Like Kiss the Girls and stuff like that, where it's just grabbing women and they're fucking sex prisoners like that. Oof. That's dark to me. That's really dark.
But dude, Zach, I appreciate you bringing this one in. This definitely going to be up there on my rewatch list.
Oh yeah.
But before we close out, and you got your camera right here, bud. Where can people find you? What are you working on? What are you doing?
Yeah, you can find me at Zack Chapaloni on Instagram, and I have a podcast called Hesby Street, HESBY. Actually started right up the street from you here.
Oh, nice.
Hesby Street, North Hollywood. And
with Torio, right?
With Torio. Me and Torio Van Grohl, we have a show. It's a monthly at the Hollywood Improv called Joke Off.
Check it out.
Hesby Street presents Joke Off, and it's like chopped, like 4 really good comics. Audience shouts out a topic. They got a few minutes, and they got to come up with the best material they can, and we chop them one by one. So come to the next Joke Off on February 16th, 9:45 at the Hollywood Improv.
Hell yeah. We'll make sure this episode comes out before then so you guys can get your tickets and everything. You guys can find me at Julian F. Comedy. Make sure to follow this podcast at Horror Bin Pod on Instagram and TikTok. YouTube, make sure to subscribe, like, share, comment, do all the things. But above all, make sure to follow our guest, Zack Chapaloni, funny ass comedian, great podcaster, great guy, and great recommendation, dude.
Thanks, Jules.
This was awesome. We'd love to have you back on.
I'd be happy to come back.
Especially
This
to
is
do
really
the
fun.
Omen. We'll share our
Catholic,
We'll share our Catholic guilt right there, but it's gonna be a whole Catholic episode. I just figured out my Easter episode.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
But like we always say, bye bye. Bye.